Hey Zoey's fans, welcome to Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist Recap Show. I'm Emily May, your host, and we're so excited to cover Season 2, Episode 4, Zoey's Extraordinary Employee. And I am joined today with Brianna Phipps, who is a fellow AfterBuzz host and producer and is a huge musical theater lover. She is following the Zoey's universe with us, along for the ride. We're missing Brandon Hanna tonight, but he will be back next week, and we'll be excited to have him. So a lot happened on this episode this week. We had officially Zoey and Max have split up. David is struggling kind of with what he wants to do next in his life outside of his work as a lawyer. And Zoey is dealing with the unraveling of SparkPoint and some of the firing of all of her, some of her favorite employees. And Mo and Max are trying to find this compromise in this business. And then Maggie might have a love interest. So there was a lot going on in this episode. There was also all of the most amazing musical numbers, and we'll get into that because I know you and I are both huge fans of this. And so let's start it off with kind of hearing what your overall thoughts are of this episode. It was very different than I think the rest of the season so far.
Yeah, no, it was definitely different. It's not that I didn't like this episode, but I just love George so much that I was like, no.
I know. We're all huge fans of George.
And I'll have predictions with George later because there's no way they are keeping him off this show.
Oh, no. I definitely think there is some storytelling happening right here.
No, I was going to say, but I love the message of, happiness isn't something that just happened. It's something you have to work at, and it's something you have to wake up every morning and make that, decision. I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to make this the best day possible because I wholeheartedly believe in it. It's something I've been working on really hard myself as well. So I really liked that they put that message in there.
Yeah, and they really started it off. I loved how Mo started it off with mojitos, and I find it appropriate. You're kind of having a Mohattan.
A Mohattan.
A Mohattan right now. I love it, but I do love that message, and I feel like they started it off with that message of finding your happiness during the day, because you're gonna. Yeah. And I was tweeting about this during the live show that it's so hard to find that sometimes when you have every factor working against you. You have all these outside forces fighting to make you not happy or to make you be inconvenienced, and that inconvenience turns into frustration and unhappiness. And so,
especially when you have to fire people.
Exactly, and finding those little. You have to find those little things that will make you happy, even in the smallest moments of your life, each and every day. And so you're right. I really love that message. What did you think about some of the other plot points in this episode?
I think that, and I'm blanking on his name right now, but her brother, David, thank you. I was like, why am I blanking on his name? I think his whole storyline was a little interesting but it kind of came out of nowhere. Which I don't know if that's just because he was really good at hiding it or if it's just because he's now realizing it. But this idea that, the San Francisco to me, because is where I am right now. Mm-hmm. And I know how expensive it is up here. So the San Francisco is you cannot live here on a one household budget. That's just not, and a house, that's not going to happen. The cynic in me was doing that. But I also know it's a show. But I think that it's an interesting thing that they're delving into with that, especially having a father be stay-at-home. I really like seeing that, since we always see mothers be stay-at-home parents. So that's going to be an interesting thing to just watch kind of play out and see how that happens and goes along the line, and also to see how his wife handles going back to work. Mm-hmm. Is she going to be completely fine being away from the baby, or is she also now going to have this separation anxiety?
Yeah. So this was one of my topics to discuss. So let's dive into this moment. So we have David, who we see is at the helm in a courthouse, judges, jury, and, he breaks out into song, which is so funny. Can I say that we had this song, we discussed this song last week, as I think you picked it, or it was a tie, right? We both picked it.
Brandon didn't, but we both did.
Yes. I Want to Break Free by Queen. And it's so funny that we were feeling that this was the vibe that some of these characters were feeling, not only from Zoey, but now David. And, and kind of Maggie too. And so with David, he wants to get out of this job and kind of take a life transition, right? And do you think this is wise for him to do? I mean, you just said that like you have a house and it's expensive up in San Francisco, and even
I would say financially, maybe not the best decision. It would be different if he was like, this isn't the job I want, and I want to take some time off to figure out what I really want to do with my life. But it sounds like he just wants to not work. And so that living in the Bay Area in San Francisco, especially, I don't know how that's going to work. So, and what does she do? Have they said what she does for a living?
I don't know. I'm not clear. On that.
So I guess it also depends on what she does and how much her income is. So financially, maybe not the smartest idea, but I also do believe that you should never do something just for money. You need to love what you do. Otherwise, what's the point? Then you're just wasting your life away doing something you hate.
Yeah. And that's a good point, because is this moment a crisis in like his work identity where he's really not happy? And if he's not really happy with doing what he's doing, then he needs to find something else. But he also has a new baby. He needs to like be aware of the family situation and how to take care of them. And, but also I understand that need to do something that's like fulfilling for your soul, and make that, again, it goes back to that happiness, that you have to find your happiness throughout the day. And if you're going and the wheels are just turning without any connection to what you're doing, you're not going to have a fulfilled life. And so I feel like he's struggling with that right now.
It might have been like a better decision financially if they were going to go this route, for him to like maybe cut back. I don't know if you can do that as a lawyer, but if you could cut back on hours, have some more free time to kind of explore some other avenues, spend some more time with your son. And then, once you kind of figured out what you want, then make that big.
I mean, there's so many options. Like, you're right. There's so many options you could do. Maybe he works half-time. Maybe he takes a little bit more paternity leave. Maybe he takes an extended time off. Maybe he takes a sabbatical. Like, there's so many things he could do that maybe he just, and also I was thinking about this, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like with his father's passing, he realizes the importance of being a dad and spending as much time with his kid as possible.
I think he also realizes how short life can be, and how you can't keep doing something that doesn't fulfill you, because you never know. It's not like his dad knew that he was going to have that short of a life. That kind of random horrible disease comes along, and you can't predict it.
Yeah. So there's like a lot. I really liked how I feel like there was a build here, because you could feel that there was tension building between David and Emily throughout last season, and also even in these few episodes in season 2, where there's kind of like this underlying tension where you're not sure where it's coming from. He kind of doesn't necessarily say what he's thinking. And so now that this was revealed in this episode, I feel like we're kind of getting more insight into where all that was coming from.
Yeah. And I do like that we're delving into David more, because he was just kind of like this secondary character last season where we didn't really get to know him. So I like getting to know him as well.
And Emily had a beautiful song tonight, I'll Stand By You, which was pretty amazing. And what's funny is that's a song we also mentioned on previous
It's hard for me because, and I hate that this is it, but I can't hear that song without thinking of Glee anymore.
Oh man. It is a really good, Glee did a great job.
Yeah, they did.
But isn't that funny how those little earworms, like once a song is used in a show or in a movie, you're like, I only see it that way.
Even if you've known it before, because I knew that song before Glee, so I don't know why. Yeah. But as soon as they started singing it, that's where my head went, was Glee.
Of course, that's so funny. So let's get into Zoey, and officially she's taken on the 4th floor, and Sparkpoint is still having a really tough time. We see it slowly unraveling, and she got word that she has to like lay off some employees for performance. And again, she's adjusting to this new job and she's adjusting to this whole new process. And then, her and Max broke up. So that's a whole other
Did not break up. That was a very specific.
Okay.
They made it very clear we didn't break up.
They're on a break. No.
I
don't know.
They're taking a pause.
They're taking a pause.
You can't take a break anymore since Friends. It's just ruined.
That's true.
Break.
That's true. It's ruined for
break
us.
Is just breaking up.
But is it? I guess it's a pause. But she's acting as if they broke up.
It's a breakup.
She's acting as if they broke up.
It's 100% a breakup. I don't know how long they were really seeing each other though. It was one episode long, so in our heads, it's like, hey, you were.
I don't know that
time. But no, that's definitely like, we're not together right now. We can see other people, and I will say, not to like jump ahead, but when she made the phone call, I was like, I don't know who she's calling.
Yes, we're gonna get to that because this is like. Right, of course, commercial break cut to the perfect time. So let's get back to kind of Zoey and like this whole thing. She had to fire a bunch of people. She had to let George go. That was the big one that I know hurt both of us, right? And he took it okay at first.
The first time he took it better.
At first, he took it well.
And then, rule number 1, don't rehire someone when you're drunk.
Do not do that. Do not do that. Number 1. Okay, who did you think she was going to drunk dial?
I thought it was going to be Simon.
Really? Okay, I thought so too. I thought because they were kind of having a connection at work and they were kind of talking about stuff.
Up the whole bar thing, like him coming in, and I really thought that we were going to see her. Like they alluded to the fact that she was acting inappropriately with him at the bar, or it wasn't really a bar, but
yeah, a restaurant that serves.
Yeah, the karaoke night.
Yeah.
They alluded to the fact that was happening, and we didn't really see it though. It's like I just saw him come in with the interview girl, her make like a comment about them being together, and then that was it.
Yeah. So, and yeah, you're right. Like all of those little nuggets were kind of put around, put down for us, and I feel like that she was going to call Simon, but then we find out later the next morning she's all hungover and she called George because George is sitting there. So
poor George, he had to get fired twice.
I know, so he had to get fired twice, and she does it in the worst way, right? And
she tries.
And so, like, I have to say, I've been on both sides of that situation, right? I've been on the I've been let go, and also I've had to let people go. And it is like both situations are not fun.
No.
But like Zoey handles it in like the worst possible way. Do you think she could have handled it in a different way?
I mean, from the get-go, the first time she fired him, there's no confidence in her decision. So that's a hard thing because that left room for when she's like, let's just forget it. I think that left room for him to like not really question that as much because
and not take her seriously.
Yeah, like, and I get it. Like, you didn't want to fire him, but sometimes things have to happen. And if his performance really is that bad, which we saw it was like way down in the red, what are you going to do? You can't keep. It's hard with business and stuff because you can't keep someone around just because you like them if they're not good at what they're doing. So I think she should have been more confident in what she was saying. But that also is hard to do, especially when you've never done that before.
If you've never done that before. And also because SparkPoint's having a tough time, they're like, okay, let's cut based off performance. And so there's no way to go back. There was no conversation of like, okay, how can we improve the performance? Like it seemed like their first reaction was like, let people go and not improve, like figuring out actually what's wrong. We
don't really understand the money side of what's happening right now either. So we just see this big building and they had to get rid of their bar and make it a pudding bar.
Pudding bar, which I would totally eat a chocolate and vanilla layered bowl of pudding all the time.
But we're not like, I don't have a concept of like how dire the situation is for the company. Like, I'm not sure, like, how close are we to closing the doors or anything like that. I honestly though thought when she was firing him, because she was skirting around firing him, that she was gonna like make him her assistant or something like that. We're switching your job.
I know, right? Like, oh, I need an assistant. Yeah. I'm the new Joan.
Yeah. So I thought that that's where it was going to go. And then she just finally said it, which was painful enough. And then the second time was just, you can't fire someone and tell them you're doing it for them. That's like breaking up with someone and being like, no, this is for you. It's never going to feel good to the other person. Like, you can't justify it in that way. You have to just say, look, this is not your calling here. If you want to pursue this, you're going to need, or like, whatever it is, I maybe pursue some other area that interests you more. But right now we just can't keep you on.
Yeah, like get some extra training or focus on this or focus on that. Like give them extra points.
Yeah.
And like bullet points of like, hey, this is what you need to work on.
Exactly.
But so I'm going to go into we talked a little bit about the music, and I want to talk about this moment because the George moment was my personal favorite, where he did the Britney Spears song. So I want to know, we had Stronger by Britney Spears, which I think was the song of the night. We had I Want to Break Free by Queen. We had I'll Stand By You, and then we had Juice by Simon sang that. So
I mean, all songs were great and so many amazing hits, but Stronger takes the cake.
Right? I have to give it. Yeah, I have to give it to him.
And the dance that went with it, he was feeling it.
I'm
not sure that he really feels it, but he was justifying it in that moment. I don't know if he thinks he's actually stronger because of it.
But, I mean, it's so funny because George is such a sweet character, and then he comes out with this song that I didn't even see it coming, really. I mean, I know he was teasing it a little bit. The actor was teasing it a little bit this week, but I was like, oh man, I wasn't expecting that power, behind him.
The song did confuse me. Like, the reasons behind why he sang it were a little confusing to me. Like, I'm like, is George like a little fakeness on the outside being so nice? Does he really have this inner person inside of him? Or is this just because he went from being like, it's okay, to boom. And so I'm trying to figure out, and maybe we're not supposed to know quite yet what that 100% means, but I was a little bit confused. I love the song, a little confused on what it means.
Yeah, no, I could see that. I have a feeling that he's going to come back in some way. Something's going to happen. Like, because you're right, he kind of has two sides to him, where he's very sweet, but he has this like power and kind of this, I think he has a side to him that we haven't seen before. And we got a glimpse of it with the Britney Spears song.
Well, I guess we'll see in the future episodes.
We'll see.
If he better be coming back. They can't keep him away. I have predictions. We'll wait.
Okay, we'll wait. Let's get into, there was so much happening. Okay, so Maggie is doing this new architecture project, this new landscaping architect project, and I forget his name. I totally forgot his name, but she kind of has some sparks flying, right?
Rich dude. It's like, let me look him up. We find out what his name really is.
So she has some sparks that are flying, and she kind of, in the beginning of this, so we kind of saw spikes. We saw sparks last episode. We saw in the beginning of this episode a little bit more, a little bit further, but then she has the conversation with Emily about how she kind of feels guilty, like she's not ready.
Yeah.
Do you? How do you feel?
Definitely not ready. Definitely not ready. I think it's totally fine for her. I think she handled it fine. I think it's totally fine for her to be a little flirty. I understand why she feels guilty, but I don't think she needs to feel guilty, because I 100% think Mitch would want her to be happy. But I think it's totally fine also then to tell this guy, I'm not ready.
Exactly. And like I love that conversation because she was very honest, and she has to, the fact that she was trying to feel human again and kind of feel like a connection with someone and feel wanted and feel loved. And I get that feeling, when you're taking care of someone and you're trying to heal them or try to like help them transition, you're focusing fully on them, and like your self-care and like your worth is not necessarily up to like what it should be, right? So you're like
with a person who, while they love you, can't physically
or emotionally or verbally. Yeah.
Express that in those moments at the end. So there's, even though he felt that way about you, you haven't felt that maybe in a while.
Yeah. And so I could totally see, like, it totally makes sense that Maggie feels this way. And I really hope that she finds some type of happiness, whether it's focusing on the landscape architecture or maybe she finds a new friend, maybe it's not
Jenna.
Yeah, exactly. She has Jenna. And, I feel like she needs to focus on herself a little bit more before she dives in to any like romantic entanglements.
It's very quick.
Yeah, it is very quick. But I did predict this, I think, at the end of season 1 that something would happen.
And I predicted he was going to be a love interest, so we're both spot
there you go. We're getting songs right. We're getting plot points right.
Still trying to find his name. I will have it soon.
Okay, that's all right. So we another moment in this episode was Mo and Max are trying to compromise on their business opportunity, right? And they have this big kind of karaoke night, and they're kind of, they have differences of opinion on what to do for this new adventure. And I don't know if it's going to work out. And I have my doubts. What do you think?
I mean, I definitely think it's going to be hard. This is not going to be an easy partnership, but then the ending of how it all went gave me hope for them. I think Max is a little too business, and I think Mo is a little too party. So maybe they are good for each other in that way, and they can balance each other out in that, where Mo will make Max feel like he can celebrate, and Max will make Mo feel like he can, be a little bit more mindful of making sure that things keep going and it's not just celebrate.
Yeah, they need to like find that balance, because like you can have fun, but you also need to get all of the business things done. Roger. Woo!
Honestly, I looked at so many articles that were recapping it, and it all just said architect client. So and we're not the only one.
I know, right? I have to give a shout out to Mary Steenburgen, because she posted the funniest tweet during the show or after the show, where she posted Ted Danson as the architect from The Good Place. The Good Place. And she said, "I'm sorry, Roger, I only have one love in my life." I'm paraphrasing, but it was that sentiment.
I only have one architectural love.
Only room, yeah. So I thought that was very sweet. Kind of breaking many walls there.
I love that we're getting like the voice of God telling us.
I know, right? You watched it with me.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah. So let's get into predictions. What do you think is going to happen? I think we have a few more episodes. I looked on IMDb. It looks like we might have 4 more episodes. Again, it might get updated, but what do you think is going to happen?
4? They had way more.
Maybe. I think they're filming and editing right now maybe. It seems like they might have done half and half.
Well, one thing we haven't quite talked about yet, which I just want to talk about before we get to predictions, if it's okay, is the neighbor.
Okay. Oh yeah, the neighbor. I totally forgot about that. That's your new favorite character? That's your new favorite character. That's why.
He's definitely someone Zoey should have a fling.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Now, I know I totally blanked because we got so we were talking so much about Zoey and Max in the beginning. So now it might be a love square.
Triangle.
A love square. No, Simon,
right.
Zoey.
You already have a triangle.
Yeah. Gosh. Simon, Zoey, Max, and then
they really are making it crazy, ex-girlfriend.
I know. And then what's it, Adrian? No. Oh God, I'm blanking.
I think it is. Isn't it Adrian?
Is it Adrian? Okay. Well, the neighbor, the band, the guy in the band,
alien right? Neighbor dude.
Right. So, okay, what do you think about this? And
I mean, obviously, we have no knowledge really of him besides he's very good looking and plays guitar and sings. But I think, based on the scenes for next week and stuff, it's going to be a good little, maybe fun thing for Zoey where she doesn't have to take things seriously. He's definitely not someone that's going to be making her feel in any sort of way. I think she kind of needs that. I think she just needs someone that's just fun and doesn't take life too seriously and kind of teaches her how to let loose a little bit and relax.
Yeah, so I have a feeling because he plays in a band, he's going to help her with her musical powers.
Ooh, that's a good
and like her heart songs. Like I feel like he might be the kind of vessel to help like kind of interpret what she's going through.
That's a good thought.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
But I think there might be some connection there. And I love how Maggie was getting frustrated with like, oh, the guy in the garage playing at all hours, you know.
And I love how she's like the little chubby kid.
Yeah, the little chubby kid. Well, and it was a nice setup because they're slowly playing music in the background, and she's like, oh yeah, it's that annoying chubby kid, you know. And then Zoe's just taking a walk, and then the reveal happened, which I think was a really fun. The hair, it was like a slow motion hair flip, and you know, that's how you do it.
That you grew up.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out like how old is he? Like, did she think he was gonna be younger, littler?
Well, so when they set it up, I kind of thought, oh, maybe he's a little bit younger than her.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we knew he was at least a teenager.
Mm-hmm. So it has to be a little bit
maybe early 20s.
Yeah, maybe early 20s, but it has to be enough like a difference where it's like, oh, maybe she went to college and he was still like in high school a little bit, but then when you grow older, it's not that bad, you know?
Yeah. I feel like we're gonna get some like grunge music next week.
Grunge music, yeah. We had a little taste of a little rock.
Yeah, we're gonna get like some Nirvana, some
and
very 90s-esque.
Yeah, and I like how that reveal was musical, but it wasn't a heart song.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think we're gonna get this new mix of what Zoey hears and then the music he plays. So we're gonna get like a cool mix. And the karaoke night, like there's the karaoke night song too. And so yeah, we're getting
where we saw Max sing with Nauta without a heart song.
Exactly. So like we're getting a mix of non-heart song stuff, which is still a storytelling avenue.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty fun.
Yeah, I definitely think that, you know, going into predictions. So my prediction for George is I predict that Zoey is going to put George with Max and Mo.
Oh, like as part of their business.
Yeah, like maybe
that's funny because I was thinking that in the back of my head earlier.
I don't know what he would be working for them yet. Maybe, but you know, he's very personable, so he could work with clients well or with customers well. So maybe.
Well, don't they need an app? Don't they need a website and they need an app and they need all that? So he could program all that for them.
Except for isn't Max better at programming?
Probably, but
yeah, that's my question for George because he needs to stay on the show. So that's a way to keep him on the show. I think Maggie will end up. I don't know if it'll just be like a kiss or sleeping with, but something's going to happen with her and Roger, and it's gonna make her. She's gonna. I don't know if she'll feel 100% guilty or not, or Jenna's gonna work her past that guilt by that point. Maybe Jenna's gonna push her to do that, and then maybe she'll get mad at Jenna. I'm not sure yet. I haven't worked that all out, but something's going to happen between them. Simon's. We saw a little bit of him like navigating his way into Zoey's life this episode. I definitely think that's gonna get hiked up. Did we see the jealousy they put in the previews for last week? Because I don't remember that. Because wasn't Max supposed to be jealous of Simon?
Was that? No, that was
2 weeks ago.
That was 2 weeks ago.
Losing my mind.
Okay. It's all blended together. It's okay.
But I do think, you know, she's going to be really kind of more flirty with him, and maybe Max is going to see that, and it's going to cause him to be like, we're just taking a pause. You said you weren't ready for a relationship. So I think that love triangle is going to continue to happen. But I also think this new guy is going to come in and just be this fun escape for her.
Yeah. So like, let's talk about kind of, we saw the teaser for next week and excuse me. And it's kind of like a whole new side of Zoey where she's a little bit more carefree. She, you know, a little bit more wild. And I think that's because of him, of this new guy. and the music that I think there's going to be some fun musical numbers because of it. Do you think this is going to cause some trouble though between her and Max and her and Simon? And I think work is going to unravel so much that excuse me. I think work is going to unravel so much that she's not going to be able to control what's happening.
Yeah, I feel like Zoe's the person that never had that. You know, everyone usually has that like party phase they go through, and I don't think she's ever had it. So this might be her going through that. But yeah, I definitely think work is going to take a hit.
Yeah, and I think she hasn't fully really healed from the passing of her dad. And she had that one little breakdown a few weeks ago, but that was it. And then she like moved past it and was like, oh, I'm going to force myself to be happy. And yes, you need to actively work on that. But if you don't process the grief and you don't deal with those feelings, all of that stuff is still going to build up.
Yeah, so I feel like she's really fully talked about it.
Yeah, so I feel like this next episode of her kind of breaking apart from like her normal, you know, kind of rigid nature is gonna cause some problems. But it might be some fun problems too. Like they don't have to be bad problems.
I mean, honestly, at this point, I'm feeling like Sparkboy might be go under completely.
Yeah, I think so too. Because like Joan's gone, and then you know they're rearranging different floors and like having people let go. Like it's
and we're not spending a lot of time there. Like we're seeing time there, but like the show doesn't really feel like last season. It felt very much about where Zoey worked, and this season doesn't feel that way to me. So, you know, we're seeing even like leaving them like it feels like they have very bit parts right now.
Do you think
because of any fault of their own? It's just they aren't focusing on work as much.
Okay, so here's a big prediction I just thought of. So I think Spark Point is going to go under, and all those programmers and everyone are going to move over to help Max and Mo with their new business.
Yeah, that's possible.
And then it's going to like skyrocket, and it's going to be like the next new thing in San Francisco. That's my big.
Open up a pop-up, I'm going.
Yeah, right? Where you're going to go. I want you to go. Tell me how it is.
Whenever we're allowed to go.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I think that's it, right? We covered it all.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, thank you, Bree, for joining me again. And I want everyone to let us know what your favorite song of the episode was and what your predictions are and what you're looking forward to. This was Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist, a recap show for episode 4, season 2. And Bree, where can people find you?
You guys can find me at Bree, BRI_Phipps, PHIPPS, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, the whole shebang.
Awesome. Go follow Bree. And you can follow me on all social media platforms at Emily May Heller. You can subscribe to my channel, Emily May Heller. And yeah, until next time, we're going to continue to talk Zoey's playlist every week. But next week is a new episode, and we're going to actually go live. So that's a big deal. We're going to go live at 9:15. We'll say 9:15 on the West Coast, because we got to watch the West Coast feed. So please join us. We love to hear from you, and it's going to be so much fun. So thanks again, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.